Squid Game Season 2 just came out, but is it bad? The common opinion about Season 2 is it was good, but not amazing. Some saying it was a shell of the show's excellent former self, and I do personally have some problems about it. So let's look at Season 2 together and see what is the good, and more importantly, what is the bad. Because I definitely have some strong opinions on this. Make sure to stick around till the end for my overall rating of the season, and let's get right into it. I hope you enjoy. So we start the season off with, of course, the main character, player 456, not taking the plane he was offered to live the dream life with just over $30 million. If that was me, forget about the blood money, I'm taking that and I'm going to Spain. But the main character of the show decides to not go on the plane and fight against the Squid Games, which we all obviously knew was going to happen or there would be no season 2. Now I do like the angle they went with for this show, actually fighting against Squid Games and the headmaster himself, and not just trying to get information for the public, but going guns blazing, which is actually a surprising angle I didn't think they were going to make. The first episode I don't have many issues with it, I enjoyed the action and the angle they went with. The main thing you need to know is he finds a chip in his neck and takes it out so he doesn't get tracked, but here's my first issue. The badass police officer from the first season, he literally achieves nothing in this season. Now spoilers alert, I will be talking about the ending and spoiling a lot in this video, so you've been warned. But the police officer of course survives, which is very unrealistic by the way, because he got shot and then fell off from God knows how big of a cliff. I just want to go on a little tangent here. Just think about this, he falls off a massive cliff. He falls down into the water without hitting his head off a rock or anything like that. Okay, cool, he somehow survives that. But then he gets picked up by a fisherman because he gets drifted out a couple miles off. Like realistically, 90% chance you're gonna hit off a rock because you can literally see on the island the amount of rocks that are on that island. But he didn't, he somehow survived a gunshot to the chest. So that is very unrealistic, but you know, moving on. Plot armor, of course. Anyway, even though he survives, he gets picked up by this dodgy fisherman. Now from the moment we meet him, I was skeptical of him. He just doesn't seem genuine at all. And they have been trying to find this island for 2 full years. Like, there is no way they're struggling that hard. Like, they definitely have the money. They have some fancy ass drones and still can't find it. Moving on from that, back to the main character's story. To summarize, he has nightmares of the people coming to the motel and killing him, so he hunts down the main man who recruits all these people for the Squid Games. And like we knew, he was evil for even doing this, but what the f***? He is really weird in season 2, like abusing homeless people and then turning into an absolute psycho over Russian roulette. Even though they struggle hard catching him, I don't know why he hired people that literally can't throw a punch, which makes one of them die because of that. But so far I don't have many issues with the show. I'd say it has pretty good the first few episodes, to be honest. Except here's my other issue. We are introduced to this person who is clearly broke, but we get to see a worker in the masked outfit, which is cool and all, and I thought she was going to be a very important character in this season, but it turns out she does literally nothing. I'm not over exaggerating, spoiler warning again, but she gets attacked by her co-workers because she's double tapping the bodies. In the big finale I thought she was going to come in and maybe help, but nope, she just gets a lot of screen time and in the end it contributes absolutely nothing. So unless she's very important in season 3 with the massive cliffhanger, this whole number 11 character is completely useless. Now moving back to the main story again, player 456 gets kidnapped, and here's another problem. The police guy from season 1, that badass, yeah, they hire all these guys that are from the military and all and really highly trained, they have all this money for guns, but they never thought that, oh well, if he's gonna get kidnapped, we need to, you know, stop the car. But no, they drive your everyday normal car. Like, come on. It can't just be me that thinks this was sloppy and just trying to get an excuse for him to get kidnapped. Like, they could have driven a military vehicle so the wheels don't get shot out so easily. The main character is now finally in the Squid Games, which we all knew would happen. And the first game is red light, green light. I swear we all hear that in our dreams. I really liked how he knew exactly what was going to happen. He went from kind of being a pussy in the first season to being a badass, saving all the people that listen to him and being ahead of the games. Kind of like being player 1 from the first season. And talking about player 1, it's the headmaster now. Here's the thing that annoys me again. Imagine you are the main character in the show, right? You've been tortured by the Squid Games, and you finally got to fight back, and another player 1 that fucked you over in the first season is now sucking up to you saying, oh, I trust you and all that. Like seriously, that would alert some red flags. And the headmaster messes up many times. Like he says his real name when he hasn't told him anything about his real name. And later on he kills someone. Like surely you could have at least questioned him about it. But no, they just go buddy buddy again. And he is also of course the last vote to continue the games. Like so many red flags that he just should have copped on to. Here is my main negative with this season. Now that the chip is gone, the whole boat sequence tries to search for the island the whole season, and it does literally nothing for the plot. They never find the Squid Games or try to break in. Later on they find an island with a bunker that blows up and then kills one of them. And then what a surprise, the fisherman doesn't like that and turns out to be a bad guy and stab one of the people on the boat. And that's the whole boat plot wrapped up. Hope you enjoyed that story, guys, because that's all that happens. And number 11, well, nothing happens there. She just disappears in the last episode. Now I'd say both of these stories will obviously be helpful in the next season, but I just don't like when these shows do all this building up just for it to all matter in the next season, because it makes you feel like, well, what was the point of all that then? So that's my main two negatives for the show. And while those things annoyed me, another thing that I thought was stupid is that the main character 456 turns from this player that knows everything, and it's like if you listen to him you're gonna survive these games. But no, they just throw this whole perspective out the window because they change all the games. I just think this was stupid, because what's the point of him being there then? Now obviously he has plot armor so he can't actually lose the game, but if this was in real life, because of all these new games, he has a high chance of actually dying. The only time his knowledge is actually useful is to start for red light, green light, and for the possibility of the lights going out and killing each other, which gives them the upper hand to attack and steal the guns. But honestly, ignoring that bad stuff, the episodes where they fight back and steal the guns, I thought was all very enjoyable to watch, and I did enjoy this whole part a lot. But leading up to that, there was a big fight in the toilet with the Thanos guy, who surprisingly got a lot of screen time. He was kind of a comedy relief and is also just an asshole, but every show needs that, and most people I'd say were happy when he dies. Looking at the final episode of the season, I thought it had some very highs and some lows as well. They rebel and kill the guards, going to push up to the headquarters, but obviously player number 1, even though 456 has his suspicions, he ultimately suppresses them, and number 1 is his main man in the mission to the headquarters. Now player number 1 could have killed everyone multiple times, but I guess he thinks that's too easy and wants to torture him even more. So he waits out until the very end of the episode, shoots his friend, and then when everyone has given up, he puts the mask on and is like, haha, I fucked you all over. And now everyone is dead, and leaves us with the issue everyone is talking about. This season ends on a massive cliffhanger, which I both understand and hate, because it makes you feel like, well, I just watched this for 7 hours, and at the end of the day, everything that has happened in this season doesn't matter. 246 dies, 390 dies, everyone pretty much dies. But of course, Plot Armor himself, the main character 456, survives, and number 1 just enjoys every bit of it, and then that's it, nothing else. That's the cliffhanger. You have to endure and wait for the next season, while player number 456 screaming at him, losing everything, while us the viewer is left like, what the fuck now? I have to wait another year. So that's season 2 wrapped up. In my opinion, it was enjoyable watch, not as good as the first season because of all the stuff I've talked about today. About the cliffhanger, it's just painful. The whole boat sequence and number 11 take a lot of screen time just to ultimately not change anything. I'm sure that will change in season 3, but season 2 just feels like a part 1, and we are left like, well, where's part 2? And we'll have to wait until next year. So overall, I'm gonna rate this season a 6.5 out of 10. Might be a little harsh, but it has some major problems I just can't overlook. Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching to the end. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.